school committee unanimously recommends, I'd like to take about 2 minutes to give you about a half a dozen fact nuggets, because I think the facts are important. And a lot of you, I'm probably preaching to the congregation, but I think these numbers are important. Earlier, the chair of the Finance Committee mentioned the growth in our school district. Since 1991, we've increased the number of students in our school district by 60%. From 1,789 to this year, 2,812. This year, we have more students in our high school than we've had for 35 years. We have more students in our middle school than we've had for 29 years. We have the most students in our district than we've had for 29 years. Back in the day, we had a lot of kids in our school district. At one time, we had well over 3,000. That shrunk to 1,789 students in 1991. And since then, all we've seen is increases. So I know some people out there see, well, a 5.5% budget to maintain status quo, and they just don't understand it. But when you're dealing with 50 to 60 new students every single year for 20, 30 years, it catches up to you. And that's why, so that's the facts on the population side. Two other facts, and I know this is my favorite fact. We're 15th from the bottom in school spending per pupil in this state, and that's out of 243 either single town or single city school districts. We don't look at the regional districts because they have their another whole set of issues that really doesn't compare with us. Then we have the, well, you spend too much on administration, put more into teaching. We're 26 from the bottom in administration out of those 243 districts. State average for administration spending is $404.82 per student. We spend $276.32. Teaching, we're also 26 from the bottom. State average is $4,514.80 per student. We spend $3,622.35 per student. I think it's clear we need more money. Please support the override. Thank you.
Somebody, Mr. Kirby, wait to be recognized. Somebody must have goofed when they printed the warrant because it said CPC gets to make a recommendation. I'm just kidding. Mr. Pierce for the Community Planning Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Having been to many of the meetings that the Board of Selectmen did some very difficult decisions, and I think they did a great job with prioritizing the town's needs and putting together a budget that addressed the primary needs of the community, giving us a plan to move ahead as well. The Planning Board looks at that as well in the development of the town as to how they've managed, and so we do recommend the Board of Selectmen's budget as one that we think will help us move ahead. Thank you.
Mr. Kirby for the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My name is Mike Kirby, and I've been asked to speak on behalf of the Finance Committee regarding our position on the override question. While we support the recommendations with respect to the operating budget by a vote of 6 to 1, we do not support the override ballot question. The reasons for this position are varied in nature, but I believe fall into two distinct categories. The first category relates to the specifics associated with the override question itself. Of the $867,000 included in the question, nearly $400,000 represents amounts that would be dedicated to the school department to fully fund the Priority 3 programs as outlined by the superintendent. To date, in an extremely difficult budget environment, the Board of Selectmen have managed to fund all Priority 1 items outlined by the school department and have provided enough funding towards Priority 2 items to allow the school committee to fully fund Priority 2 items. As many of you are aware, the school priorities represent restoration of services which were reduced in light of the failure of last year's override question. The Board of Selectmen has restored most of these services. Additional service expansions in today's economic environment are not considered financially prudent. The second largest component of the override question relates to approximately $225,000 in trash fees. These fees will be assessed in one form or another regardless of the outcome of the override question. The same is true for approximately $130,000 in capital items. The remaining balance of approximately $150,000 does represent service reductions, but does not in and of itself merit passage of the override question. The reason these items do not merit passage of the override question is that they represent the harsh reality that North Reading and many other communities in Massachusetts face. The cost of delivering local level services increases annually at a rate that exceeds the rate at which town revenues grow. This year, the cost increases of the school committee's level services budget represent a 5.7% increase. For those that may not be familiar, the term level services represents the cost associated with providing the same level of services and programs in a given year as the past. This figure does not include any amounts associated with the restoration of services. This amount also does not include any fixed costs such as health insurance. These statements are not value judgments, but rather statements of fact. Until such time as we are either able to raise additional revenues or reduce recurring expenses in line with revenue growth, we will need to become accustomed to annual service reductions, annual override questions, or some combination of both. For various reasons, including the national economic environment, there appears to be little hope for help in the near future on the revenue side. Our current budget actually includes approximately 15% increase in Chapter 70 state funding, which we've been already cautioned not to assume the same level of increases for next year. This leaves us with an expense problem to solve. This will be our primary challenge for the FY10 budget process. As difficult as this year's process has been, next year's is likely very worse. As previously emphasized, our current budget is balanced with numerous sources of non-recurring and significant revenue. Our stabilization fund is below the Finance Committee's target and is slipping further behind as we continue to not fund additional or send additional amounts into the stabilization fund. It is simply not financially prudent to head into next year's budget process with a higher level of fixed expenses and the resulting higher tax rate represented by the override.
We have the recommendations. Discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Lauren McMullen. Is the mic on?
Yeah.
Lauren McMullen, 4 Baldwin Lane. I'm up here just to make something clear. It has been an extremely arduous budget process this year, but I don't think it's been a surprise to a lot of us. There's been a lot of mention of revolving accounts, recreation's revolving account, and I just want town meeting to be sure to know that that's money that Parks and Recreation raises on their own. It just doesn't fly out of the air. All right, so we have lost $78,000 in our budget. We asked for $196,000, and we lost $78,000 of that. One being our recreation director, and the other being our DPW employee who is our labor employee. And it was not an open position. It is an open position currently, only because Mr. Wood retired and Marty moved up. So I just want town meeting to be aware that it is money we raise, and as most of you know, we just had our spring social, and it was an extreme success. We sold out the Hillview, first time ever. It was crowded, it was a great time, but in order to recover that $78,000, we would have to have 5 of those successful sold out events a year, which we all know is impossible. So I just want everyone in the town to be patient with us. We're going to work towards our goal. We don't want to lose. We don't want to go backwards. We still want to go forward. And anybody out there who's willing to help us move forward instead of go backwards, we're open to any suggestions and any help at any time. Thank you.
Mr. Witz, anyone in your facility seeking recognition?
No.
Mrs. Pulowski?
No one here.
No one there seeking recognition, or there's no one left with you?
No one seeking recognition.
Thank you. Deanna?
Deanna Castro, 9 Broadway. Quality education is a community concern, and it's encouraging to see the community rally behind education funding. Thank you to our local leaders for taking a stand and making education a priority this year. Last year, North Reading allowed quality education to become optional by allowing an override which gave voters the ability to say yes or no to education. It didn't take long to unravel a school system that had taken years to build. The override failed, eliminating 10 positions and not hiring 8 others needed to address enrollment and class size concerns. This failure caused drastic cuts to the core of our schools, including reductions in art, music, PE, technology, library, and electives for high school students. Student learning time plunged to state minimums at a time when increasing the school day in other communities has seen positive results, and forced multiple study halls in our middle school, putting students at an academic disadvantage at a time when mandates and requirements are demanding more of our students. Cuts eliminated our K-8 band and chorus programs, increased class sizes, forced half-day kindergarten to meet only 4 days per week, and all kindergarten through 8th grade students to have early release days every Wednesday this entire school year. Our 6th graders went without art, our 8th graders without music for an entire school year. This comes at a time when our children are expected to compete in a global marketplace. Going to college is a necessity, and getting accepted into college is more competitive than ever before. Locally, our Board of Selectmen worked hard to restore many of the teachers and programs cut last year in this non-override budget. But given all the progress they've made, restoring all the cuts still requires an override. Locally, we've worked hard to address the school funding crisis that's been brewing since 2002, when Massachusetts led the nation in cutting per pupil state education aid more than any other state. According to Mass Municipal Association, we're still $631 million behind 2002 levels, and communities like North Reading have never fully recovered. Our local crisis must be met with a state response, and we're working hard with our state leaders, Senator Tarr and Representative Jones, to address needed additional aid, reform, and innovation of state-level education funding. It comes down to our local community being responsible to fund multiple priorities that are chasing decreasing revenue dollars because of spiraling energy, health, and retirement benefit costs. North Reading is 13th from the bottom of the state in per pupil spending. We spend $3,000 less per student than the state average, and we spend 27% less than our peer group average. We're not asking to get up to those averages. We're simply asking for enough funding to provide a basic quality education for 2,900 North Reading students who don't have time to wait. Investing in education is an investment in this community. If you have children in school, supporting education is obvious. If you don't have children in the schools, making this investment may not be as transparent. However, property values are tied to a vibrant community with a strong performing school system. So we all benefit when our schools are thriving instead of barely surviving. Investing in education restores quality and pride in our schools and in our community. We hope everyone here tonight will see clear into their hearts to do what is right for North Reading students by saying yes to education and voting for both the non-override and the override budgets. Let's give our kids a fighting chance by providing a better quality education next year. On behalf of North Reading United for Education, Mr. Moderator, we strongly support both budgets presented by the Board of Selectmen this evening and hope everyone here will as well. Thank you.
Mr. Witz, anyone seeking recognition?
No.
Mrs. Pulowski?
No one seeking recognition here.
Glenn Leslie, 16 Lindau Road. Question is for the Finance Committee. If you don't recommend the override as it's structured, and you feel that there are some things that shouldn't be that way, then the question is, what do you recommend and how should it be structured?
Mr. Kirby?
I believe the answer to that, to the gentleman's question, is that we had indicated the Finance Committee is in support of the operating, the general operating budget. What we're not in support of is the override question at this time, given what we see as the multi-year challenges that we are going to be faced with. We have to accept the recognition that, as I said before, we are either going to be having annual overrides or are we going to be having annual service reductions unless we